message of something like this. Sometimes that has a socialistic sounding ring. And there's violence in socialism.
I just heard you use the word violence, and that's a word that I haven't heard much. I've been in Occupy Boston for 2 weeks. I've been here. Nobody talks like that.
Can I get a little bit closer to you so I can hear you a little better?
No. I think you heard me loud and clear.
This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by LRN.FM. Feds don't want you to hear them.
Explain this message.
Are you very enthusiastic about this movement that has just sprung up overall?
Absolutely, yeah. I was at Wall Street last week for about 5 days, and I was really profoundly affected by the solidarity there, and just the congregation of people of a similar mindset.
I'm gonna get this a little bit closer to you so I can hear you. I know I'm gonna be invading your space a little bit, but it's so loud. Hope that's okay. But yeah, so it's just seeing it start. I guess that one of the criticisms has been that there's not a lot of focus in terms of demands or message or whatnot.
Yeah.
What's your demand?
I've heard that a lot, and I think that the beauty of the movement is that although there aren't any specific political leanings or ideological leanings of the group as a whole, everybody's coming to it with their own message and with their own demands. So that in itself we can sort of combine as a unilateral message.
Could you repeat that in itself? You consider what?
We can combine that, and that in itself is a message, I think.
I see. Okay. What are your concerns about? Like for me, I'm I guess an anti-aggressionist. That's just sort of the idea that I follow. I see so many signs here that seem to be advocating taxpayers be forced to pay for some new program or something like, or continue paying for a program they've been paying for a long time. Do you have any concerns along those lines, or do you think the government just needs to do certain things and not others?
I mean, I think we need to focus more on communities instead of a holistic government, and I think that the financial reform is only one small part of what we're trying to achieve here. There's a food crisis. We could use some educational and healthcare reform as well, and again that sort of harkens back to my earlier point that everybody has their own needs that they're seeking to met.
Yeah. All right, thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, so loud.
Yeah.
It's going to happen until they actually set up camp and we see what goes.
I would say there are about 15 liberty activists who I recognize in the crowd, some of whom are actually collecting the porta potty money, acting as volunteers as part of the project.
You guys had organized and made it out?
Yeah, well, yes, this is like the first actual occupation and like protests that we've had, but we have had other general assemblies. We've had general assemblies. Assembly is more like coming together. Just the coming together of all the conversations we've had. That's like but there's no end date. There's no what we're gonna do Sunday, Monday. It's
So how does an anti-aggressionist evaluate an event or a movement like this? Well, obviously the message of something like this. Sometimes that has a socialistic sounding ring. And there's violence in socialism, violence in the message. But it's their actions that count. What were you saying? I'm still rolling. What were you saying?
I thought I heard you use the word violence.
Well, I'm talking a little bit about socialism. how there's some violence inherent in socialism because you have to get the money.
Oh well, I don't think doing that over that in video is accurate, because this is a movement dedicated to complete nonviolence on strategic as well as principled grounds.
Well, it seems like the means, for the most part, that are being used are always nonviolent.
The objectives are as well. The objectives are nonviolent and democratic, as well as the objectives. So I just heard you use the word violence, and that's a word that I haven't heard much. I've been in Occupy Boston for 2 weeks. I've been here. Nobody talks like that.
Can I get a little bit closer to you so I can hear you a little better?
No, I think you heard me loud and clear.
All right. It's kind of hard to hear you over the noise, but you got a good voice.
Thank you.
All right. Well, what do you think is the, I mean, I think like some of the signs that I see at some of these events, and of course an event can't be responsible for all of its signs, but I see like for save social services, that's just one example. Saving social services costs money, right?
It saves lives as well.
Well, then somebody has to be forced to pay for it though, right?
No, it's not forced to pay. It's a tax system when you're basically part of any, modern democratic country. Taxes are basically an obligation you get for basically the sidewalk you're standing on, as well as the trash services that come and pick us up, the police officers, the firefighters, the teachers that have educated you and me, not only in formal mathematical, in literary training, but as well as the principles that made this country great. So yeah, I don't think anybody should have a problem. As well as the United States has the lowest corporate taxes and the lowest taxes in general in the world. We're taking in barely any taxes compared to any other OECD country.
Do you think that violence should not be used against someone who refuses to pay a tax on ethical grounds?
I think if somebody refuses to pay a tax on ethical grounds, violent means should not be used whatsoever.
How should the taxes be collected then?
The taxes are collected basically on it's not voluntary, but basically, like I said, it is part of the social pact that people, most people recognize that they get many services that are provided to all.
So you're not in favor of using force to collect the money, basically?
No, that's not right.
Nice, okay. All right, I appreciate it.
Yep.
I'm Dave.
Mark.
This will be on RidleyReport.com probably tonight or tomorrow. I pretty much just everything raw.
Okay.
So maybe I illustrate a little bit, but mostly it's just raw.
Okay.
So, all right, thanks much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, I got kind of caught off guard here by an impromptu, I guess it's an impromptu march that just started. They're marching north on Elm Street. Anyway, before we started conversing there, I had a point or two I was going to make. Essentially that there's nothing aggressive about moving into a park and occupying it because you're forced to pay for it. I didn't get around to that. That is common for me to get interrupted a little bit when I'm doing narration, but I usually appreciate being interrupted because the interruption is more interesting than the narration, if you want to even call it an interruption.
What's up, Dave?
Hey.
Do you love this movement?
Oh, thanks. Not yet, but I might.
There's many a demonstration back then.
LRN.FM, 24 hours of Liberty Radio every day. Now available on satellite too, at sat.lrn.fm. That's what a satellite sounds like. Put it on your unlicensed station. Wear it in your hair. But above all, don't despair. The Liberty message is getting out. And right now, you're missing it. Or maybe you're not. But skip on over to LRN.FM. Feds don't want you to hear them.